Now let's start today's China Currents. We turn to the most strained moment that China-Japan relations have witnessed in years. Last week, Japan's right-wing new Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi made shocking remarks that could practically be described as a declaration of war against China. On November 7th, while discussing Taiwan, she said that if a conflict broke out, it would be considered a survival-threatening situation for Japan, widely interpreted as a hint that Japan might intervene militarily. And this is an unprecedented provocation since Japan's 1945 defeat. To this day, Japan has not shown repentance for its crimes in World War II. Japan colonized Taiwan for 50 years, causing 35 million Chinese deaths during its war of aggression against China, and chose to enshrine 14 Class A war criminals at Yasukuni Shrine, a place its political leaders continue to honor even after World War II. For a country with such a blood debt to China to dare insult the Chinese people with its threats, Beijing does not shy away from declaring consequences should Japan dare to act. In a matter of a few days, several Chinese ministries have stated that if Japan makes a move, it would meet a firm response from China. China's Defense Ministry spokesperson warned that if Japan dares to act recklessly, it will only suffer a crushing defeat against the steel-willed PLA and pay a heavy price. A Chinese vice foreign minister summoned the Japanese ambassador, lodging stern protests over Takaichi's remarks, an unprecedented move in China-Japan diplomacy. China also announced that Premier Li Qiang will not meet Japanese leaders at the G20. In addition, China advised its citizens to avoid traveling or studying in Japan, an economic warning. The pause in Chinese tourism alone could cost Japan 2.2 trillion yen and shave 0.36% off its GDP. As of our broadcast, Japanese political circles claim that Prime Minister Takaichi has begun reflecting on her wording. Japan's head in the Asian Oceanian Affairs Bureau is reported to be planning a visit to China on November 17th. Next, a new discovery by Chinese botanists may reshape the international landscape. The US-China tariff war familiarized the world with China's lead in rare earth refining. And now a new discovery by Chinese botanists further expands China's advantage in this field. The Guangzhou Institute of Geochemistry at the Chinese Academy of Sciences has discovered that rare earth minerals can actually form inside plants. The plant is a fern called Dicranopterus linearis. It absorbs rare earth elements from the soil and condenses them into rare earth mineral known as monazite La. The mineral main leaf contains cerium and lanthanum, two elements widely used in the defense, aerospace, and electronics industries. Normally, monazite forms deep within the Earth's crust under extremely high temperature and pressure. Yet, these plants can do the same at room temperature through a biological process. And scientists explain that this is the plant's self-protection mechanism. It packages and seals toxic substances by locking potentially harmful rare earth ions inside the mineral structure. According to the paper, the fern's fronds contain the highest concentration of rare earth elements, reaching 0.001735 gram per gram. Converted into the mining industry's standard unit, ppm, that is 1,735 ppm. Rare earths are not abundant in nature, and anything above 1,000 ppm is not considered low. And moreover, monazite formed through geological processes often contain radioactive elements like uranium and thorium, making mining difficult. Companies in Brazil and Australia have even shut down plants due to radiation risks. On the other hand, the rare earth minerals found inside plants this time are extremely pure, containing no radioactive elements. Good news for any future extraction or use. One might wonder whether this alternative comes with high extraction costs or unpredictable yields. Yet the US has already proven the new venture worthwhile. For example, the US Bureau of Mines produced 100 kg of nickel per hectare, a remarkable figure, using hyperaccumulator plants grown in soils too poor to be mined. The approach proved so promising that last year the US Department of Energy's ARPA-E program invested $10 million to support plant-based nickel extraction. Many elements occur only in low concentrations, even in mining areas, making extraction expensive. For these scattered, rare but essential metals, phytomining offers a viable alternative. And even if not harvested directly, plants can absorb heavy metals from contaminated mining soils, a cheap and environmentally friendly method for site restoration. In short, nature has far more unknowns waiting to be uncovered. And next, let's look at African iron ore project delayed for 30 years by Western investors but revived by China. On November 11th local time, Guinea's Simandou iron ore project officially began production and started supplying the international market. Simandou holds a proven reserve of 4.4 billion tons, with an average iron grade above 65%. That's far higher than the global average. Higher grade ore means more efficient smelting. Once fully operational, the mine could reach an annual capacity of 120 million tons and reshape the global iron ore landscape. Yet, despite its rich resources, the mine remained inactive for 28 years. Apart from Guinea's unstable political environment, the issue was investors' reluctance to amass the funds needed for infrastructure. The situation brightened in 2019 when Singapore-China joint venture winning consortium Simandou, or WCS, joined the project. Together with mining giant Rio Tinto and the Guinean government, they invested $23 billion, making it one of Africa's largest mining investments ever and the world's largest greenfield iron ore investment in an undeveloped region. This includes building entirely new infrastructure for the remote side, a port designed for over 120 million tons for ore annually, and a railway crossing Guinea with 552 km main line and a 74 km branch line, capable of transporting 220 million tons a year. To carry out this enormous task efficiently, the WCS employed Chinese standards, Chinese design, Chinese materials, and Chinese construction teams. After production started, a senior Guinean official said the government's goal is clear: to turn the country into an industrialized nation. Now let's look at China's unusually firm stance at last week's climate summit. Despite being one of the world's most active promoters of green energy, China declined to contribute to the Tropical Forests Forever Fund, launched by Brazil in 2023 with a target size of $125 billion. The fund aims to provide annual incentives for countries protecting tropical forests. China praised the initiative but has not joined the donors. Chinese negotiators told Brazil that China supports the guiding principles of the fund but is cautious about financial commitments, mainly because some Western developed countries have been masking their failure to reduce emissions and delaying climate finance payments they already pledged. Under the Common but Differentiated Responsibilities Principle of 1992 UNFCCC, developed countries, having emitted more since the Industrial Revolution, bear historical responsibilities and have greater financial and technological means. They therefore should lead global climate financing. Although China has not committed funding, it remains highly self-disciplined on emissions. At the September 24 UN Climate Summit, China announced a new NDC target. By 2035, China will reduce its economy-wide net greenhouse gas emissions by 7 to 10% from peak levels. That's significantly more ambitious than targets set by Europe or the United States. Around the same time, China's State Council published a document reiterating China's willingness to provide support, financial, technological, and capacity building to Global South countries. Now let's look at China's diplomacy with other countries. On November 12th, President Xi Jinping met Spain's King Felipe VI in Beijing. After the meeting, the two sides witnessed the signing of 10 cooperation documents in trade, science, education, and other fields. This is King Felipe's first visit to China since his accession and the first visit by a Spanish monarch in 18 years. Amid the EU's overall caution towards China, Reuters commented, Madrid pursues the most active courtship of Beijing within the European Union. Right after the Spanish king, Germany's Vice Chancellor and Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil departed for Beijing on November 16th for the fourth China-Germany high-level financial dialogue. And earlier, German Foreign Minister Johann Vadefur had to cancel an October 26th visit after making improper remarks about Taiwan. His visit was not confirmed until he corrected the statements, affirming that Germany has always supported the One China policy. In Asia, diplomatic exchanges continue. On November 13th, Thai King Maha Vajiralongkorn arrived in Beijing for a state visit, the first visit by a Thai monarch since China and Thailand established diplomatic relations 50 years ago. And Reuters and other media noted that choosing China as his first major country visit highlights China's growing influence in Thailand. And that's all for today. See you next time.